Good morning, students. Myself, Major Komal Katyal, Department of Zoology, G.K. Govani Government College, Bhinmar. Today, we will discuss about classification, particularly the classification of living organisms with more reference to the animal kingdom. Now, what is classification of living things? As far as the classification is concerned, we classify the living things into 5 different kingdoms. The kingdom Monera includes the prokaryotes. Kingdom Protista includes the eukaryotes, mostly the unicellular. And the multicellular eukaryotes are classified into kingdom Plantae, the autotrophic, Animalia, the heterotrophic, and kingdom Fungi or Mycota, which are also the heterotrophic. Now, what is taxonomy? Taxonomy is a science of classification. It is a branch of biology that names organisms according to their characteristics and places them into orderly groups based on the similar characteristic features. Now, what is the requirement? Why we required the biologists to classify the living organisms to answer questions like this? वर्गीकरण की आवश्यकता क्यों होती है जीव वैज्ञानिकों को? Because to answer that how many known species are there, what are the defining characteristics of each species, and what are the relationship between all these species. इन सभी प्रश्नों के उत्तर देने के लिए आवश्यक है कि हम जो जीवित जंतु या पादप हैं उनका वर्गीकरण करें. Now, as far as the history of classification is concerned, 350 BC, a Greek philosopher Aristotle was the first person to devise a classification system according to the natural environment. Now, as far as the Aristotle system is concerned, he classified them into plants and animals, and then on the basis of size of stem, the plants are further classified into soft stem herbs, woody stems shrubs, and one woody stem trees. As far as animals are concerned, they were classified on the basis of their habitat, if they are air dwellers, if they are land dwellers, and if they are water dwellers. So this is by means the classification of Aristotle. The John Ray in the 17th century classified plants and animals according to the characteristics of anatomy and physiology. He was first to use the word species for organisms of similar shape and size. Now, what are the limitations of early classification? Not all organisms fit into Aristotle's two groups, the plants and animal. For example, bacteria and fungi. We cannot put them into either plants or animals. The common names can be misleading. Say, for example, a jellyfish isn't a fish, but a seahorse is. A sea cucumber sounds like a plant, but it is an animal. It is an animal. So you can see the fig diagram of both these, a jellyfish and a sea cucumber. Then the common names vary from place to place. Say, for example, puma is known by catamount. It is also known by mountain lion. It can be known by cougar, and all are the name of the same animal. So this is the third limitation of early classification. The fourth, the same organisms have different names in different countries. Say, for example, the chipmunks, the Strephanohorns in German, Tamia in Italian, and Ardilla listada in Spanish, all the name of squirrel. You can see here. The early solution was description of organisms using the Latin names. Say for example, the red oak tree. The red oak tree is the oak with the leaves with deep blunt lobes bearing hair-like bristles, and that thing is written in the Latin in the red color here, Quercus follis obtus synetiso mucronatus, and all this carries the description of the organism, but it is very difficult to remember it. Now, what are the problems with these kind of description? The names are too long and difficult to remember. The second, name don't illustrate evolutionary relationship. Carolus Linneaus, the Carl von Linné, which is known as the father of taxonomy and binomial nomenclature, जिसको हम द्विनाम पद्धति का जनक कहते हैं. He devised a new classification system based on morphology, that is organism form and structure. He formed a species, similar species grouped together to form a genus. Now, what is a binomial nomenclature? It is use of genus and species name to form a scientific name. This system is called binomial nomenclature. It means there are two parts of a name, and generally the Latin is used because it is a dead language. Now, whenever we are writing the name as per the binomial nomenclature, they are either italicized or they are underlined, and the first name is genus, which is capitalized, and the second name is species, and then the name of the identifier, which is generally given in the lower case. As you can see the example of the human beings, they can be written as Homo sapiens, like here in the italicized, or they can be written like this, the Homo sapiens, which are underlined. The Robert Whittaker in 1969 devised the five kingdom concept, which is on the basis of type of cell, either the prokaryote or the eukaryote. The prokaryote were included in kingdom Monera. The eukaryotes were included in four different kingdoms on the basis of number of cells. If unicellular, they are protist. If multicellular, on the basis of type of food and the method of obtaining nutrition. The heterotrophic fungi, the mycota, the heterotrophic animalia, and the autotrophic plantae. The levels of classification are from broadest to the narrowest. You can see here written in the capital letter the KPCOFGS, which denotes K for kingdom, P for phylum, C for class, O for order, F for family, G for genus, S for species. And take the example of the lion with kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Carnivora, family Felidae, genus Panthera, and species Leo. We can take other example of the animal, that is again from the mammal or the family Felidae, the Panthera pardus. Now both these animals belong to the same genus Panthera, but the species is different. And here we can see how we can classify the kingdom. The Animalia is classified into several phyla. Some of them are shown in the slide, like mollusca, echinodermata, arthropoda, and chordata. Then the phylum Chordata is classified into classes, like shown here, the reptiles, the osteichthyes, the amphibia, aves, and mammalia. And the further example where Mammalia is classified into order, like Lagomorpha, primates, monotremata, carnivora, and so on. And then the carnivora is classified into family like Canidae, which include dogs, the Pinnipedia, which includes the sea lion, the seals, the Felidae, and many more. And the Felidae include one genus, that is the Panthera, which has two species I have given in the example, the Panthera leo, the lion, and the Panthera tigris, the tiger. So this is the hierarchical system of classification which we generally follow nowadays. This completes my first lecture on classification, in which we have discussed about the hierarchy beginning from the kingdom and ending to the species. So species is basically known as the taxa, which is mainly responsible for differentiating the living organism.